pro-choice say, that is crazy to abort a child in the 9th month of pregnancy, and you've spent your entire life fighting for that. You believe, for example, that abortion ought to be entirely legal right up until the moment of birth, including the 9th month of pregnancy. Question, I'm not asking about your work. It's a very simple question. Do you believe it should be legal in the 9th month of pregnancy? Mr. Chairman, Joe Biden is attempting to fundamentally change our judiciary. Biden has decided, with the complicity of Senate Democrats, to abandon the notion of fair and impartial judges who apply the law, and instead to fill the bench with partisan zealots. Ms. Rickleman, unfortunately, I look at your career and I see that it embodies precisely this pattern. You have spent the majority of your professional life as an extreme zealot advocating for abortion. That is clearly a heartfelt and personal passion of you. It is a passion you've decided to devote your life to. But it is not remotely within the mainstream. Your views on abortion are not middle of the road. They're not views that most people in their typical lives encounter. You believe, for example, that abortion ought to be entirely legal right up until the moment of birth, including the 9th month of pregnancy. Is that correct?
No, Senator. As an advocate, I always worked within Supreme Court precedent, which only permitted abortion until viability.
You believe, I didn't ask what the law was, I asked what your belief was. You believe that abortion should be legal up until the moment of birth, including in the 9th month.
Senator, that's not a position I ever took as an advocate.
What do you believe?
My personal views will not impact any of my decisions.
Are you willing to answer the question? I understand. I watched you answer Senator Hawley, and you said, oh, I didn't say that there, I didn't say that there. What do you believe?
Senator, the work that I did at the center was to protect women's ability.
Let me try it again. Do you believe abortion should be legal in the 9th month of pregnancy?
Senator, all of my work has been to protect... So you're refusing to answer
the question. I'm not asking about your work. It's a very simple question. Do you believe it should be legal in the 9th month of pregnancy?
Senator, my personal views do not matter.
So you're refusing to answer. All right, let's try something else. Do you believe crisis pregnancy centers are a good thing or a bad thing?
Senator, again, my personal views
You're
won't
refusing
matter.
to answer that question also. So that's exactly what a zealot would do. They won't tell this committee, they won't tell the American people. The reason you won't answer, I believe, that you advocate unlimited abortion in the 9th month of pregnancy is because you know 91% of Americans disagree with you. Tens of millions of Americans who consider themselves pro-choice say, that is crazy to abort a child in the 9th month of pregnancy, and you've spent your entire life fighting for that. Let's take crisis pregnancy centers. You're nominated for the First Circuit. That means you interviewed with Senator Elizabeth Warren, and you got her support. Now, you have very few connections to the First Circuit. You've been in New York and Alaska much of your career. Senator Warren has said, quote, with Roe gone, it's more important than ever to crack down on so-called crisis pregnancy centers that mislead and deceive patients seeking abortion care. Do you agree with Senator Warren?
Senator, as an advocate, I only worked on cases
I didn't ask what you have advocated for. I asked, do you agree with Senator Warren?
Senator, under the Code of Judicial Conduct, which applies to nominees, I'm not allowed to share personal views.
You're not allowed, judicial nominees are not allowed to have any personal views on any issues of public policy? Is that your testimony to this committee?
The Code of Judicial Conduct does specifically say that it would be inappropriate to share any personal views as a nominee because it would suggest that I could prejudge issues. And
so Senator Warren has filed legislation that would shut down crisis pregnancy centers all across the country, denying women care that they need and want. Do you agree with that legislation?
Senator, all of my advocacy has been to help
Again,
women make
you're not answering my question. Do you agree with that legislation?
Senator, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on pending legislation.
Have you seen that legislation?
I have not, Senator.
Have you discussed that legislation with Senator Warren or her staff?
No, absolutely not.
So let me ask another question. As you know, the Dobbs opinion was leaked. It's one of the greatest violations of trust in the Supreme Court in the history of this nation. Do you have any knowledge whatsoever as to the identity of the leaker?
Absolutely not, Senator. And as a former law clerk to an appellate judge, I understand how critical confidentiality is for judges and their law clerks.
You wrote a law review article advocating against DNA testing for convicted criminals, for convicted murderers, convicted rapists, convicted pedophiles. The view you advocated has been rejected by the Supreme Court. It's not good law. Do you still maintain your belief then that it was unconstitutional to take the DNA of convicted murderers, rapists, and pedophiles?
Senator, the Supreme Court has determined that issue, and I will faithfully follow the Supreme Court's decision as I will follow all of their decisions. It does not matter if I agree with the Supreme Court's decision.
But do you agree? I get to decide if it matters. You get to decide how to answer the question. Do you agree with the decision?
Senator, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on
So there's
Supreme Court
literally
decisions.
nothing you're going to answer. Thank you.